I'm honored to have my mother from Massachusetts as my first guest.
Oh, and I'm honored to be your first guest.
Fantastic. I think we said we were going to talk about Sonia Sotomayor, who was nominated by Barack Obama.
Yes.
To be a Supreme Court justice. And I really value your opinion, Ma. I've learned a lot about my political knowledge from you.
Thank you. I learned from my mother.
And you learned was grandmother, was she a political activist, or?
She wasn't an activist, but she was very interested in politics.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about what do you think about this nomination, Sonia Sotomayor? Do you think it's a good choice, bad choice? You think it's a good choice?
No, I think it's an excellent choice.
Why do you think that? Tell me why.
Well,
tell me.
Part of why I think it is because she grew up poor. She understands what it means to be poor. She is a minority. She's a woman. She's well educated. She graduated top of her class. Her mother worked to put her through college. She knows what sacrifice is.
In other words, she not only can read about what it is to be poor, she actually was poor.
She was poor. She grew up in public housing. In New York.
And she did pretty well for herself. I mean, she graduated Princeton, I think 79, Ma, maybe?
I know it said that what I read was top of the class. Now, what that number was, I don't know.
I think it was 2. I think she graduated second in her class.
Pretty impressive for Princeton.
I don't know if you remember back in 2005, Ma, the Senate Democrats suggested Sotomayor as a nominee for George Bush, who eventually selected Alito Jr.
Yes, and I think I did read that.
What a big contrast that is, huh?
Yes. Big contrast.
Yeah. So, now, if you were going to classify her in the political sense, like say a left-leaning, centrist, conservative, right, what would your opinion be on that, as far as her affiliation?
I think she'll follow the law. And I think that's what she'll do. And
so you think she'll be you think, like, when you say follow the law, you think she'll be a strict constitutionalist, or?
I think she will follow the Constitution. I think she will follow the law, and I think she's neither left or right. I think she's middle of the road.
That's that's the feeling I got. That she was a political centrist.
Yep.
I kind of probably err on the side of conservative, but just been reading some of her decisions, and it seems to me like she's a centrist. I mean, but of course, you just get bombarded by the GOP about Rush Limbaugh's flapping mouth about how liberal she is, and that she's a racist, and that she's a feminist, and that and the list goes on and on. It's constant hate spewing from that guy's mouth.
Well, when they say she's a feminist, why don't the conservatives talk about what it's like to be a white male in society today?
Yeah.
I don't hear much of that.
No, you don't.
So society has been run by white males pretty much, and government and politics and the Supreme Court, and we are not all white males here in the United States of America.
That's true. That's a good point.
And so she represents a woman, she represents minorities, and she represents the American people. And I think she'll do a good job.
That's good points, Mike. I guess her father was a blue collar worker. I think he was a tool and die worker, I believe. I believe the guy only had a 3rd grade education, Ma. And I don't think he spoke English.
It's possible that he didn't.
And I think from what I'm understanding, I've been reading up on her a little bit. I believe that she was 9 when her father died.
Yes,
she couldn't speak English up until that point.
Right. And
she lived in, I guess, the East Bronx, I believe, which is
She did. She lived in the Bronx.
Fairly prominent Puerto Rican area of New York.
I believe she went to Catholic school, I think.
I think she was raised a Catholic, yeah.
Yeah, and went to Catholic school, I think.
Mm-hmm. Has she come, Ma, have you heard any, has she come out on any, made a statement on abortion? Has she talked about that? Because the big thing with Obama, him getting elected, was the conservatives, the pro-lifers, you could want to say the evangelicals, they were kind of up in arms about Obama getting elected because they say he's going to teeter the court towards keeping abortion legal, and of course they want it illegal.
Well, I understand that, but it's the law of the land right now.
Yeah.
And as I said, she is going to follow the law of the land. And when you ask Obama about it, that's exactly what he says. It's the law of the land right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And until something changes, that's the way it is. It's the law.
I mean, I was raised Catholic, and I got pro-life, you know.
So am I.
But sometimes I struggle with the fact that if we made abortion illegal, it's kind of like drugs, ma. People are going to do it anyway, and there's people are going to do it. Going to do it in closets. Going to do it in closets.
Women are going to die trying to get an abortion if it happens. What we need to do is work to prevent the pregnancy in the first place. First of all, as much can be done to prevent pregnancies, unwanted pregnancies, so we don't have to have abortion.
I mean, Ma, you got the Catholic Church is like stuck in the 11th century. God bless the Catholic Church.
God bless them, but we have to prevent unwanted pregnancies.
And then, Ma, they're saying don't use birth control. They're telling the parishioners. They're telling us that.
Well,
what do you do? I mean.
I believe that we have to prevent unwanted pregnancies because that's what causes abortion.
Yeah.
We have to do it, and we have to take care of the children after they're born.
Yeah, yeah.
Children are going hungry in America, and they're going hungry because we don't take care of the children once they're born. If we want them born, as the conservatives say they do, then they have to be willing to take care of the children that are born to poor mothers and fathers.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the consequence of unwanted pregnancies.
Yeah, you make some good points there, Ma. And it's a good stance, it's a good common sense stance, I think, that you make there.
The children need to be cared for.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're pro-life, you must be pro-life in all counts, including the death penalty.
But you know, the evangelicals will always say, if you're pro-life, you're pro-life. You can't in any way support abortion. You got to protest against it. But it's just hard. It's really hard to be so black and white on that issue, for me at least.
I'm pro-life, but I cannot walk in somebody's shoes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the only way I can answer that question. I can't pretend to put myself in someone else's shoes and walk in those shoes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't choose that for myself, but I wouldn't walk. I wouldn't say that I could walk in someone else's shoes and tell them what to do.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get off track, but I just thought it was.
All right.
I
well,
just
it's
thought
part of the track.
I think it was part of the track, and I think it was important to mention that because
it's going to come up.
It's going to come up. I mean, it's going
to follow the law of the land.
Yeah, I think she will, Ma.
And that is right now.